So yes, it just came to mind now that if this group started in '71, I remember when I was young, maybe even before maybe I was 13 years old. I don't know, but I remember I was raised in the U.S. and I remember the petroleum crisis, and I remember Nixon, and I remember a terrible, terrible economy. I remember worrying about graduating high school. It's all coming to mind now. And if I was going to have a job, a good job, or not, because I had to work through through college. I remember worrying about that because I remember my parents who were refugees, working that extra shift every time in our system, capitalism. Every time that I saw my parents, ever since I was a little child, doing that extra shift at the factories, I knew that something was going on with the economy, and I was a little kid, so I didn't know anything about economics or anything, but that I knew something was happening wrong, which is 5 year, 7 year cycle, as all of you know. But I just speaking to you now, I just wonder, is it possible that this group was founded because I'm sure all of you know that Nixon did away with the gold standard then. He sold gold to save the American economy, get reelected, et cetera, which is another problem with the system. 4 year terms, someone does something, even if it's going to kick us in the air, in the butt in the future, they do it just to get elected. So that's one of the things that's wrong with the system. But, anyways, he did that. So I'm wondering, maybe that was set up in '71 because maybe that was almost or could have been a depression. It didn't become a depression because, see, after World War II, the the U.S. Just like history repeats itself, just like the the British Crown Navy controlled the seas centuries ago, hence controlled geopolitics and they make alliances with corporations in order to uh, to make sure that free trade can flow through. That's important. That's the bloodstream of the capitalistic system. But in World War II, the only navy that was that was left, the most powerful one, that can assist the world and guarantee free flow of goods around the seas was America. So that made the dollar strong. That made it the most powerful country. Because if it wasn't for that navy, for that protection, for that alliance between business and government and military, then the dollar would have not stayed so strong until today. But I believe it has its days counted. So maybe, just maybe, it was set up for that. That's just a thought that I just got right now. But anyways, it's 2008 happened. We got out of that. They plugged the holes. Nixon back then plugged plugged the holes. And you can ask me. I can explain to you exactly how his very shrewd Secretary of State Henry Kissinger was able to do that. It had to do with Saudi Arabia. But now, after 2008, I feel that the ship is sinking. And but maybe that group, the World Economic Forum, created that club in order to get prepared for this great reset. Maybe they were thinking about that back then, because all of us know that capitalism is a system that produces goods and services, but those goods need natural resources. So it's a system that needs that in our planet, which is finite, okay? But the like the Charlie Chaplin movie, it doesn't stop. Capitalism doesn't stop, and when you put wars, add war to that, then it really gets the gears get going. So it can't stop, and it needs a natural resource. So it's a finite a system that needs infinite natural resources in a finite planet, the little blue planet that we live on. So it's it was a problem. Everybody must have known that back then, since its inception. In fact, Marx knew that. Other philosophers knew that. Maybe Adam Smith even mentioned that that one day it would all come down, because it takes too much stress on the planet. And they talk about that. That they talk in public, not in the private. We don't know what they talk in the private means, like I mentioned before. So, okay, in my opinion, these are very, very, very rich people. Well, they're the 1%, and we're the 99%. And the 1% controls 80% today as of the whole whole world. So it's totally it's something today. So that's about what it is today. So now it's getting real close to having to change policies and having to do a restructuring. But they want a restructuring of the global economy for preferably for total centralization, okay, which doesn't work. Total centralization, and preferably even a one common currency for the whole world, which basically is what the indirectly is what the dollar has been since World War II, since the military might was protecting free trade. So these guys have dollars, and they have euros, and they have a lot of them have wands now, Chinese currency. So I can only imagine being one of these. Like I told my son the other day, Papa, you always talk about the collapse in that, or that capitalism needs to be reformed to make it more equitable and fair. But what do you think is going to happen? Because December, okay, before this pandemic, and for years, I have told the truth to my kids, and in my lectures have been about that I expected a total crash of the financial system, and perhaps the fall of capitalism, which I'm not I buy things like consider myself a materialist because I buy things, but I don't buy things because they have logos on them. I buy material, and I research and I check and I see, well, if this material is worth that, that's what I'm going to buy. I'm not going to buy the fancy slogan or the trademark or the logo or anything like that. So I consider myself a materialist. Okay, I'm not a communist. I'm not a socialist. Uh, Fair capitalism, fair trade. So my son, I told my son, this was like October, before the pandemic. It's getting close. I had no idea about this pandemic. It's getting close, Papa. Yeah, we've got this land, and get ready to move. I'll install internet, and you can do. Universities are online now. He's studying journalism, and I prepared my family for a move for December. Well, things got a little bad. The rains didn't come. It was dry. I wanted to plant in December, so it then the pandemic hit. Now, with this pandemic, if I thought that if I've been talking about this for so many years, and I told this in October or December to my my son after this pandemic, and when it came out, I told my family 5 years, and they don't want to talk about anything like that. They don't like to hear negative things, but it's not negative, it's preparation. So I said, 5 years, and I will not live in a city, okay? 5 years. So everybody prepare. No one, not even my family, believed me, but they said they were calling cuarentena, which is a Latin word for 40 days, okay? And they were saying rhetoric, cuarentena, 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 cuarentena. And I was informing everybody that would listen to me and in my lectures that forget cuarentena, how about decatena, which means 10 years. But I calculate that was just exaggerating to make a point for people to get prepared. My friends, even just just the audience in the lectures to get prepared, not accept the rhetoric of cuarentena, not accept. It's not going to be 40 days, guys. Prepare. Prepare. If you guys have, this is a developing country, if you guys have grandparents that are still in the family farm, then go to the family farm because it's no way that if you don't have any other type of income and you're on a salary that you're going to survive. Well, it's happening, and many people are going hungry. Now, it's been a year that they don't work, and these were people that, like my parents, that had to work for the next day's meal, and it's very sad. And so now, after this pandemic, what is going to happen with all of these poor and desperate people? So I think that this club knew that a long time ago. 1%. They own 80% of the world's wealth. So if you, I like to put myself in other people's shoes, and so I'm thinking, well, I'm a great titan. I'm one of those masters of the universe, and I'm a billionaire. Man, I'd be worried right now because when the crash happens, there's going to be a lot of poor, desperate people. Aside from the fact that